Mr. Rogers is probably widely regarded, and I'm sure would still hold the title for the purest form of media that has ever been on television. I don't think anybody needs me to explain to them who Fred Rogers was and what he did. But one thing that I think we all sort of maybe know but goes criminally unnoticed in many cases is just how good the music of that world is.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighbor.
We're all familiar with the theme song. Everybody knows the words. It's one of the probably the most popular songs ever. But it's easy for the intricacies to kind of go unnoticed. After all, at the beginning of every episode for the entire duration of the show, it was the same song.
So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor?
But what a lot of people may not realize is that it was never the same iteration.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine?
Whereas most TV shows have always had a pre-recorded intro and a theme song that was recorded once, Mr. Rogers' set was a little bit different. You see, right from the beginning, Fred Rogers approached a particular piano player with the offer to work on the show for next to no money.
Would you do it for us? He said, how much money do you have? I said, I have, for the music budget, I have $5,000. And he said, that's exactly what my son needs for this next year of college. I'll do it.
That pianist was Johnny Costa. And that might be a name that not a lot of people recognize. I mean, we're certainly much more familiar with names like Oscar Peterson and Art Tatum, Wynton Kelly, Thelonious Monk, Bud Powell. These are all names in jazz that are completely legendary. But Johnny Costa never winds up on those lists. But ironically, he very well might have had even more reach in terms of having his music heard by an audience day in and day out than all of the others combined. Oh, sweet hoodie, where'd it come from? Well, the merch store, which is in the description. Please feel free to check it out if you get a chance. I really, really appreciate the support. Johnny Costa was put in the very unique position of being the musical director for this new show, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. You can imagine that the idea of taking on a children's TV program was perhaps a little bit concerning. You see, Johnny Costa wanted to play music how he wanted to play music. But there's perhaps somewhat of an obvious conflict there when we're talking about the level at which Johnny played and the audience which this TV show was created for.
When I first started to work with Fred, I mean, I was real jazzer, you know. And I thought, well, I don't know, children's program. Well, I just wonder, can I play the things that I've been playing, that I want to play, you know?
And you might think that it's the wrong approach for the audience at which this show was aimed. Being so young, an incredibly unbelievable jazz pianist playing insanely complicated stuff, most people would have just said, yeah, we should probably make it a little more kid-oriented.
I didn't do it for the ears of a child. I didn't do it this way. I wouldn't do that, so I figured, well. And Fred loved it.
And I think the fact that Mr. Rogers really loved it and didn't have any concerns about playing this type of music for a children's show. It says a lot about what the show was and what he believed. And you see this replicated in every aspect of the show. They weren't afraid to tackle difficult topics. They weren't afraid to discuss things with children that they weren't really hearing from other adults. Fred Rogers did not look down upon the ability of a child to appreciate or interpret or pay attention to extremely complex music. And it turned out to be a brilliant decision because it created such a unique atmosphere that we all came to know and love. And perhaps another reason that Mr. Rogers was totally fine with having this type of music as the background for the program was because he was actually a really great pianist himself, and he wrote the music for the show. Mr. Rogers not only recognized just how good a pianist like Johnny Costa was, he thought it was important enough to place in front of the audience, mostly made up of very young children, because like the topics covered in the show, it was important for them to be exposed to such things from an early age. It's like, why shouldn't a child be able to listen to John Coltrane, or be able to listen to Bach or Debussy and Ravel? I don't know about you, but when I hear some of this stuff like that is optimized for children, music made for kids, or even worse, covers of popular songs made for kids pop, oh my God, I want to just throw myself out of a window. It's so aggravating. Why can't we just say, hey, here's music, check it out. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but it's real music. So let's talk about Johnny Costa for a minute, because as we mentioned before, he's a name that doesn't get passed around along with the Oscar Petersons and the Art Tatums of the jazz world, even though anybody that knows his playing would agree he absolutely deserves a seat at the table. And what I find incredible about Johnny Costa is that you can hear all the different influences that he has. In fact, there's a story that Art Tatum literally called Johnny Costa the White Tatum. But I don't think he was wrong about that. You can hear it in his playing. It's incredible. One of the things I love about Johnny's playing is that while you can hear all these different influences, you can hear Oscar. You even get components of, say, George Shearing. There's all of these things that were clearly influences for Johnny that he had integrated so fluidly into his playing. But at the same time, he also had his own voice and his own harmonic and melodic ideas that created some of the most inventive versions of maybe music from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood or just jazz standards in general. Within the show, Johnny Costa and Fred Rogers worked together to create some really, really incredible things that were based on fairly simple jazz standard harmony, but just executed in a way that was just so good. Oh man. It's so beautiful, and the melodies and the chord progressions written for these tunes were just great. Not looking at them as like, oh, this is a great soundtrack for a kid's show. No, it was just good music. There doesn't need to be a qualifier for that, because they believed in a child's ability to appreciate things that are not dumbed down to the level of a child. And check this out. They would write these little just interlude, brief mini songs for specific purposes. Like, check this one out. This is incredible.
I'm angry, and I can tell you why. The reason I am angry is that somebody made me feel very small. And all of a sudden, I cried. I almost lied and said I wasn't scared. But I was scared. And now I'm angry. Did you ever feel like that?
What a beautiful just little interlude that didn't have to be that ornately written or even that good, but it was, because it's just the caliber that Mr. Rogers and Johnny Costa were as musicians, but also Mr. Rogers as the creator of this program thinking, no, we're gonna write good music for kids. Like, they don't need something that's dumbed down. There are so many examples of the just absolutely incredible writing of Fred Rogers and the execution of that by Johnny Costa throughout the show. I mean, there's so much to talk about, but really the moral of the story is just that the music of Mr. Rogers was and is absolutely incredible, and it was written and executed by two people who were extremely proficient in music and decided that they were going to deliver incredible music to children regardless of age or their ability to understand it, but rather simply as an opportunity for a child to hear something they might not hear otherwise and maybe develop a liking for it. And I gotta wonder, I mean, I don't know how much of it I necessarily paid attention to when I was a kid watching Mr. Rogers, but I'm sure that it helped the sound kind of get into my ears in such a way that when I finally discovered jazz properly, it was kind of a little bit nostalgic maybe. And who knows, maybe that had a huge impact on driving me to go to school to study it and to pursue the music in the way that I have. I gotta think that experiencing the show as a very young child must have had some sort of even subliminal impact. So I highly, highly recommend going to check out Johnny Costa. This guy was just, I mean, he was from another planet. Whatever planet that Oscar and Art Tatum and all of those absolute greats beamed down from, I'm guessing Johnny Costa's got to be from the same place, because he was absolutely on that level. And unfortunately, he just never really got the same type of recognition. But even still, we were left with some of the great music and songs that we kind of all just knew and still know today. It's you I like. It's not the things you wear. It's not the way you do your hair. But it's you I like. The way you are right now. The way down deep inside you. It's not the things that hide you. Not your toys, they're just beside you. It's you I like. Every part of you. Your skin, your eyes, your feelings, whether old or new. I hope that you'll remember, even when you're feeling blue. It's you I like, it's you yourself, it's you, it's you.